Day 9, we are here. Another day, another lesson, another uncovery, another fearless step into our greatness. Day 9, welcome back. For those pushing through, for those seriously take a moment to celebrate yourself. Like, give yourself some praise, smile, laugh, thank yourself. You've went out of your way at this point to really start to look at your shadow self. You've really wanted to look at your shadow side. You've taken notes, you've journaled, you've came back, you've put in the time, and that ain't easy. That is not easy to set things aside. The life is so busy, it gets so consuming, and to set time aside to truly work on yourself should be celebrated. And you should celebrate yourself. We don't celebrate ourselves enough. We don't clap for ourselves. We don't pat ourselves on the back. We just don't. Amazing job. And you don't need me to pat you on the butt and give the old boo-ha, you should do it. You deserve it. Congratulate yourself. It takes a lot to want change. And I'm grateful you're deciding to want change with me, through me, with us, for yourself. Now let's start off day 9. Don't forget, take those 3 deep breaths, get centered, come back to space. Let's get ready to do the work. Let's wash off all the bullshit from our past. Let's not worry about what we have in 30 minutes. Let's just be here for this time in day 9, creating a relationship with our fears, with your fears. Now, so for so long, for me, if you know me, you saw my life, I quit my jobs, I go out and travel, I jump off cliffs, I skydive, I do all the crazy shit. You look at my life from the outside and go, that dude has no fear. But what people didn't know within me was the fears that the darkness fears that I carried of my true self, of my authenticity, of becoming this version of myself that I wanted to share with the world. This is where my fears were. My fears were my crippling attachments to who I wanted to become because who I thought I was. And what I've learned through this journey, why I'm sharing, why I'm building these workshops, and why I'm deciding that I know where I want to be in life for others, is because I know fears, we all have them. We have them in some form, some fashion. It doesn't matter. You are not free from fear. And we won't ever be free from them forever, even when we overcome and conquer the ones that we have. And through our life, new ones are going to show up. As we change, as we grow, as become these new versions of ourselves, new fears are going to show themselves. But what sets the most successful people apart, and what is going to set you apart from most other people and set you apart from your past self, is going to be in the new way you perceive and the way you utilize your fears as an advantage, as fire, as a catalyst, as inspiration, and not as your setback, not as your hindrance, not as your whoa, you don't deserve this. So to create a relationship with our fears, to create that relation, we got to ask the tough questions. You got to ask the tough questions. You can even ask other people if you feel safe. Thank God I have some people like my sister and some mentors that I can ask tough questions to about me, and I can get true answers. But you're going to get more profound answers when you ask yourself, and don't ask them once, ask them a lot. Go on walks in the morning and ask yourself your fears. Ask yourself questions. Go on walks after you meditate and ask yourself questions. Ask yourself questions before you meditate. You have to ask if you want to get in anything in life. Now, I want you to ask yourself these things, these questions, and this is just a few. Why do I allow my fears to become my crutch? Why do I allow these fears to keep me stuck? What is it within me, within these fears, that I allow them to take up so much space in my life? Why do I allow my fears to truly become a belief system that I carry. Because the space and the place and the desire and the understanding we want to get to is having these fears become that fire and that motivator that activate us to overcome and to achieve the reality in whatever we are facing. Being a better parent, being more successful in our job, creating our own business, stepping into our authenticity, seeking out purpose, taking that trip we always wanted to take, becoming a speaker like we always wanted to speak, stepping out and standing in front of 100 people and screaming on the best. I mean, whatever that is, what is holding you back? And where people get stuck and they get hindered like a deer in headlights, like completely frozen, is from their fears. Because those fears are just like the voices that they hear in their head. And again, they think those voices are who they are, so they assign themselves to those voices, which are their fears. They assign themselves and attach themselves to these fears and say, oh, I'm just afraid of heights, that's who I am. And oh, I'm afraid of public speaking, that's just who I am. And I'm afraid to be loved because I was hurt before. Someone hurt my feelings so bad and I'm afraid. No, that's who you're choosing to be. You attach yourself to that person so strongly that you allow that to become part of your identity. You are giving those fears so much power through the attention that you're giving them, that you're not creating a relationship to them. You're just allowing them to be who you are. Your fears don't have to stay your fears. I've said these things before, but it's a choice. Your fears can actually be transmuted or resolved or transformed or reduced to something minuscule and moved into wood for your fire, for your, it could be coal for that old school train, that locomotive, that lit train to get you where you want to be. And we can do that. We can do this through the topics we've discussed in this workshop. You can change your fears through the topics that we've discussed in this workshop, through your fears, through your stories, through your agreements and beliefs, by raising your inner game, by taking action to become who you truly want to become. Your fears then become the passenger. They no longer are driving because you are driving. You've taken choice, you've taken decision, you've made a commitment that you're in control, not this fear that wants to just chitter chatter in your head and allowing it to take up space rent free. This is why I know and believe that you can create change that's so strong. And the reason I know that is because the brain itself is neuroplastic. It's not concrete. It's not solid. It's not a state that's rigid forever. So what neuroplastic means of the brain is it can be changed. The brain is not stuck on one gear forever. If you believe that, this is why you're in the space that you're at. The brain is not stuck. It can be changed. It's not just solidified into one thing and it's only one identity forever. You hear about so many people that make changes through their life and become this different version of themselves. If you're not changing and evolving to become different versions of yourself, writing new chapters along your book, you're slowly dying. It's time for change. The time is now. Your time is no longer an option. Through change, through action is the way that we grow, the way that we evolve, and the way that we are able to overcome all this old programming that we have going on. This is why I'm always saying we can rewire and we can reprogram the brain. I say it about myself all the time. And where I got this idea is from this guy's super famous. And if you're any type of spiritual connection or manifestor or believer in such, you probably know who Joe Dispenza is. He's a super famous doctor that talks about these things. And his famous quote, his best quote is, neurons that fire together, wire together. Basically stating we are constantly feeling and thinking and speaking and acting. The way we do those things are going to wire our brain to be what we want. the way you're constantly feeling, thinking, speaking, and acting are going to wire your brain to be what you want it to be. So through this idea, what I'm desiring to bring a relation to in with our fears is in how we can understand to create and to set up these stronger roots within ourselves of our beliefs, of our thoughts, of our emotions, and our actions. Because those roots are going to be what are causing you to move into your greatness and not sit stuck. These old roots that are in your garden have told you that the reality for you is to just sit in space, to just sit in looming complacency. So we have to rewire that thinking. We have to take control back. We have to know who we want to be to have what we want to have. But why is it our heart and our gut and our soul keeps telling us we want more, that we deserve more? Even while we're sitting in complacency, even while we're sitting on stuck, we feel it like, oh God, I just want more. It's not greedy. It's not selfish to want more for yourself. That is who you are meant to be, is to want more for yourself. What we have to do is dig up these roots. We have to rewire our thoughts. We have to create new stories that are coming out of our mouth and new agreements and beliefs. We have to become response-able in our emotions and in our thoughts. Now, if you noticed, I say it this way: response-able, responsible, response-able. It's this two-part word that makes up a bigger meaning. Meaning that we don't have to desire. No. What that means is we need to have a desire to have a response that's within our power. You have to desire to have a response that's within your power to be able to choose more powerful beliefs, more powerful emotions in moments, in circumstances, in events that take place in your life. You have to use a response that empowers you to overcome your limits, to overcome that inner voice, to overcome your roadblocks, and to start to show yourself that you have the power to make a response every single time these old programmed stories and beliefs start to show up. Basically, an old story and belief shows up, a voice shows up, an old limiting emotion or feeling shows up. You have a response in that moment that can overcome. Maybe it's no quiet. Maybe it's journaling about your triggers. Maybe it's responding with powerful words and powerful words in those moments of what you're going to change, which is your stories. Maybe it's actually taking an action in those moments when they show up to deprogram those words, to deprogram those thoughts or emotions. We cannot let old habitual patterns and our old subconscious reflexes or reactions be what dictates how we show up in the world. You have to be responsible to do so. When these voices, when these thoughts, when these emotions of our past show up, and they're going to keep showing up, don't you doubt that they are going to show up, especially when you really don't want them. They're going to be there. You have to know your why of what you're working on, what you're working towards, where you're going to be. I mentioned this earlier in the program. What is your why? And I think it was on day 6 when we talked about, is it a dream? Is it a goal? Is it a passion? Or is it something that you are obsessed about having? What is your why? When your why is so powerful and it is so ingrained in what you truly want, it is so intense And the stories that you believe and that you speak about, they start to become your actions. The actions that you're taking in times of difficulty, in times of setback, in times of set belief or in disbelief. Your why is going to be the catalyst, the fire, the inspiration for you to turn your fears into fuel for anything, whatever you want to accomplish. What is your why that's going to make you act in a way that's responsible to move through your fears? To take your fear, put it on the side and say, F you, be quiet, I'm in control and I'm taking action. When you make the choice to get out of your past ego, by connecting to it, by understanding your past ego, recreating, reprogramming your ego, you're going to disempower your fear. That root is going to come up. It's going to realize that has no place within you, and you are going to be in control. We talked about detaching from certainty in day 7. And that fear of letting go of an outcome or a thing, something we own or we bought or we're attached to. The detaching from certainty. When we're overcoming our fears or we're creating a relationship with our fears, we're now moving into a place where we are letting go of a version of ourselves that's existed for a very long time. It's someone that we know. It's someone that we associate with. It's someone that we've become attached to. It's a person we have identified with. And it's even someone that we've showed up to the world and said, hey, this is who I am. I like to call it, it's your life business card. You've went around the world meeting people in your community, in your family, and saying, hey, here's my business card. This is who I am. Hey, this is who I am. People think you're that business card. But is that business card who you truly want to be forever, and never change? When you start to make changes, you have to disassociate with that business card. You have to be willing to say, I'm creating new business cards right now. I'll get you a new business card when I get them printed. The fear of letting go of old parts of ourselves, or when you start to let go of old parts of yourself, this is a real feeling of like, it starts to shake you up. It starts to freak you out. But I challenge you to think about this. The old parts of yourself, it's old. It's not even the real thing. The old parts of you are from your past. Is your past even real? Is it real? Is it as real as this pen right now, right here? Is it as real as this water bottle? No, because it's the past. What's real is right now. Where you're sitting, what you're listening to, what you're writing down, that is real right now. But even in 3 seconds, that's the past. It's no longer real. So those parts of you don't need to be who you are. They don't need to be who you are right now. They don't need to be who you are today in 3 hours. They don't need to be who you are tomorrow. If that old you is not who you want to be, they don't need to be who you are now anymore. They can be dead because they're not real. Your past, though, is just the learning ground. It's where we learn. We can look back and learn, not be succumbed, not be held in prison. The past is not your keeper. It's just your teacher. And the only thing that's real is this moment. When you live in this moment, fear doesn't exist because you're not worried about the future. You're not in fear of the future. You're not living in anxiety of the future. You're not living in regret and worry of the past. You're living right here and right now. And that's the whole idea of extracting you out of your timeline. The you that's right here looking at me through this screen, that version of you is real. That version of you that wants change, that wants to invoke your reality, that wants to be fearless, that wants a new, greater sense of self, that wants to create a reality that's so profound. That's the version of you that's real. And whoever that person wants to become can have that right now. Whoever that person wants to become can have that right now. Through your choice, through your beliefs, through your words, through your actions, through your thoughts. So how can we turn this moment into an emotional feeling and physical action? Because we know we're moved by emotion to create action, correct? How do we turn an emotion into physical action? I can only hope that by now you're like, yes, yes, yes. How, now, when, what, give it to me. Let's fucking go. I'm ready, right? I can only hope. I can only hope. How can you become set free to unleash or unlock that deep down potential that's living inside of you already? It's already there. You don't need to go collect it. You don't need to go get it. You don't need to go earn it. Someone doesn't need to say that you deserve it. You don't need me. But I can be that catalyst for you if you need help to awaken that. If you need, I hate saying help. You want support and encouragement to get through, to realize that is in you. That potential is there. It's awaiting to be expressed into the world. And now the work begins when you realize that. So as we wrap up day 9, I want to kick off an activity to start the work. I want you to take note of 2 to 3 fears that you have in your life currently. What I think deep, not like spiders. Like, okay, great. If spiders is one of them, cool. But like, can you go super deep? What is that you are afraid of in your life currently? Ones that are holding you back. Are they beliefs? Are they stories? Are they voices? Are they words? Are they emotions? Try to get to the roots of these fears. So list your 2 to 3 fears. Then try to get to the roots. Where are these fears holding space within you rent-free? Where are they gaining their strength from? Why are they still holding so tightly onto you? Why are they still there? What keeps you so attached to a fear from your past, a fear of your future, or a regret or worry of your past, or a judgment of your past? See if you can find where they started or why they started. Happy investigating into more of your truth, uncovering more of your past, realizing more of your potential, and starting to truly overcome that inner fear that we've carried for so long. I see you back for tomorrow, day 10, our last day in discovering our greatness, overcoming fear, becoming fearless, and starting to invoke the reality that we truly want and deserve every single day. Take care. Love y'all.